So we've beaten them once this season so far. Now Leeds look to do the double over Norwich. It's a huge game here at Elland Road, and this is the warm-up. So joining us this week, as always, Leeds United legend, Dom Matteo. Dom, you all right?
Very well, yourself?
Good. It's a bit milder. We're in the stadium, tells you that spring is in the air, which means it's also the back end of the season. 10 games to go now for Leeds. It's a 10-game season. Starts against Norwich on Sunday. It's huge, isn't it?
It is. Massive game. They all are, let's be honest, at this point of the season. So, yeah, I suppose I'm just looking forward to it. Hopefully we can get a good performance and try and move forward again. That's what we've got to do. That's the approach we have to have.
We had a positive result down at Elland Road, of course. 2-1 win. Quick equaliser from them, but some positives from that game. Do you take that as a player into the next one, saying, well, we've beaten them once?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you have to take any positive out of a win, especially. And any win away, especially in the Premier League, is hard, and we got it 2-1. And like you say, it was a long away day for some of them fans, but they obviously enjoyed it. And that's what we need to be doing now, is we want the fans to come back and enjoy it. And, you know, we know what's coming up and what games are coming up soon, but we've got to stay positive and stay in the right space.
Yeah, scoring goals as well, of course. A couple of goals in that game, including Rafinha cutting in, and I think he nutmegged 3 of the Norwich players in the end by the time that ball had made it into the back of the net. But that's the kind of form we need to see. Yeah,
I mean, Rafinha's with the, we know the ability he has, the skill he has, and what he can do when he gets on the ball. And obviously that was one of the highlights, wasn't it? That the way he just skinned a couple of people and ends up putting it in the back of the net. And yeah, I think they're the ones we're looking at and we can take positives from. And they're a beatable team, and we have proved we can beat them. So when we get on our own turf, we've got to beat them there as well. Yeah,
last time out on our own turf, of course, didn't go to plan. Results have been disappointing. There's no hiding away from that. You look at the form table, it tells you everything that you need to know. How do the players go about? Do you put that out your mind? What do you do as a player to make sure you don't let it affect you going into another big game?
Yeah, I think it's all about the mindset. I know the players all have good mindsets to be a professional footballer anyway, but I think now is, can you put it to bed? Yes, you have to. There's no two ways about it. So it's now you get together as a group, as a team, and you need your leaders to be speaking to you, talking to you. Even some of the lads might not be playing. It's about the group now, and we have to stick together from moment one now, after the conversations that have probably been going on, is get together, be united, crack on, and actually bring something. And you have to bring your A game now, because it's so important, these points that are coming up, these games that are coming up as well. It's all about getting results, getting points on the board, because that's what it's all about now. Doesn't matter how we win and how we get results. It's all about that effort and endeavour to get that passion back in there and get these fans something to shout about.
Such a quick turnaround, Thursday to Sunday. How much work can be done on a training pitch? What will the players be going through in the period between the 2 games, and how much preparation can you do?
Obviously, I think there will have been a sit down, I'm sure, and a chat about what happened, a debrief, whatever you want to call it, and take out. You don't want to talk too much about it, but I think sometimes you have to, in a way. I always feel like it's better for people to say what they think, even though the game is coming up quickly, as you said. But Jesse Marsch has obviously got an important few games coming up, especially the first one. I think another game at Elland Road. He's obviously experienced enough, and he knows enough about the game and his knowledge of the game. He's going to have to use that to the best of his ability, and it's important that we're all on the same page with this, and the fans obviously play their part as well. It's going to have to be a real team effort for us at the moment, because we are struggling. We haven't had many good results, a lot of defeats, and yeah, so somehow we've got to dig these results out, and sometimes it comes from that. This is what's important, and the fans will demand that. And I think if the players and the manager are all on board, with the fans as well, because everyone needs to be in this position, we'll be okay.
Okay, we're going to hear from Jesse Marsch in just a moment, talking about this huge game this weekend. Before we do, there's lots going on in the Premier League and lots going on around us in that bottom third of the Premier League as well. Let's get your predictions, Dom, on some of these games. I mean, you look at these, it's going to be interesting to see which way they go. They're going to have a huge impact on the rest of the season. Brentford taking on Burnley. Burnley in 18th. Brentford, Ivan Toney with a hat-trick last week. They beat Norwich, of course.
Yeah.
Who's going to win that game?
I think at this point in the season, it's so hard to call, isn't it? I mean, I always say draw, don't I? But I think it could be. Being honest, I think Brentford, we've seen in glimpses, haven't we, this season, that they can be dangerous, especially Ivan Toney going forward. They've got to be. He's got a lot. The way he plays, it's like he just goes for it, and he's got a lot of pace and a lot of energy. So I think Brentford might just edge that.
And looking at Everton, who of course are right in the thick of it. I mean, really struggling at the moment. Their form is not something too pretty either. They're taking on Wolves, who'll be our next game after Norwich.
Yeah, I think Everton are really struggling. I'm not just saying that because obviously my history, but no, I think they really are struggling, and they've got a lot of work to do. I probably didn't think how big this job was and how big that Everton is. They're a huge club, and up against a Wolves side, you usually don't concede too many goals and they're tough to play against. But they've obviously not been as good as they usually are, Wolves, because usually Wolves are very consistent. But yeah, a tough game again, but I think Wolves will just edge that.
Okay, Dom's predictions for this week. Of course, the big one is Sunday, 2 o'clock here at Elland Road, taking on Norwich. Full preview of that coming up. First, let's get the thoughts of Jesse Marsch.
My focus will be on, understanding how to paint a picture tomorrow and Saturday, so that we can understand a little bit better what we need the game on Sunday to look like, and how we need to handle being in the moment. So. Yeah, and I'm confident. I already have some things in my mind about, again, some of the aggressiveness against the ball, some of the movements against the ball, some of the ideas with the ball, and enforcing discipline in how we want to play in all phases of the game. Because again, I felt like we lacked that massively. We just started trying a bunch of things that we never talked about, and we have to stay to the plan. We have to stay to the plan. And if we don't do that, then we're weaker. We see the weaknesses of our players and not the strengths. So, that will certainly be a message. We all know how important the game is on Sunday, but we have to also be very calculated, and we have to look at and observe how he is tomorrow and Saturday, and then make a very educated decision on what we think is best for him. So I would say he's looked great this week. Really well, and we could be optimistic, but we also have to be intelligent and find a way to get to the core of what the right decision is. I understand their frustration and concern, right? I mean, but again, the most important thing is the belief and the courage that we have as a club and as a city and as a community, and we can't have doubts from every perspective, because we will never achieve our goals. So I'm here to try to instill those things and the confidence. I know with fans, you have to earn it. It's not given, right? I mean, it's the same with players. It's the same with directors. It's the same with everything. But again, I am not afraid. I am not afraid. I'm here for the right reasons, and I want to help this club be the things that I really believe it can be.
So Leeds United taking on Norwich City. Absolutely mammoth game here at Elland Road. We know it's going to be packed. We know it's going to be bouncing. Hopefully it's going to be a win as well. Jesse Marsch is picking up on what he said in his press preview about sticking to the plan.
Yeah.
He's trying to implement stuff, isn't he? But it's difficult for a team. He hasn't been here long.
Yeah, he's not been here long at all, has he? And he's having to hit the ground running, which has been difficult. We've seen that in performances. But like you say, he'll have a plan. He's a clever guy, and he has to have a game plan, especially against a team like Norwich at home. There'll be expectations from the fans, we know that. So he's got to try and get the players in a mindset where we can not forget about what the fans are doing and what they're saying and what the noises they're hearing. They've just got to be so focused on not getting beat and getting points on the board. That's what it's all about. And the players have to have that mindset. And I always talk about mindset a lot. I use that word a lot because it's so important. Whatever walk of life you're in, and especially the football world, if you're not doing that, then you've got no chance. So I think he'll be talking about the mindset. Don't worry about that. That's gone. Let's move forward now. And that's the way you have to be.
You talk about mindset, and let me ask you as a former player who's done it at the level that you've done it at as well, in huge games here under the lights and all over Europe as well. How do you make sure, because Jesse mentioned about playing with too much emotion from the other night against Aston Villa. How do you channel that to be a positive thing? Because of course everyone coming here on Sunday, that there's some nerves around the place. We want to make sure there's a win. How do you make sure it doesn't either affect you or it affects you in a positive way?
Well, I think it's a full team effort, as I keep mentioning. You have to have a group usually. From my experiences, I had 2 or 3 players that I always go to and we'd have a chat. And I think if you look at the team at the moment, they'll probably have a few, like, not cliques, but, you know, people who talk to each other. But you have to come outside of that. So you need somebody who you wouldn't usually talk to and maybe struggling with form or whatever. Get him involved in the conversation, and you have to go through it. And then stick to what you're good at. Go back to basics. I get another words that I always use, back to basics. We really need to get back to basics, especially against a team like Norwich, who've kind of got nothing to lose, really. They'll be going for it. So they will be vulnerable on the counter. But the other side of it is we've got to make sure, again, defensively and mentally, we are up and ready to go in this game, because the fans will demand it. They certainly will. We know how important this game is. And when these games come around, you've got to make sure you're on the end of 3 points.
You look at the table and Norwich 6 points behind us,
Yep.
Worse goal difference than us as well.
Yep.
It would be naive to write them off as well. This is just 3 points in the bag, obviously.
Yeah.
Their away wins have come against teams around us, Watford and Brentford. So they'll probably come here thinking, actually, we can go and get a result.
Yeah, no, they'll look at our form, let's be honest. That's what they do. They analyse everything, and what they can gain from that, they'll use. So yeah, listen, we can't, Norwich, they haven't had a great season. We know that. They've been a kind of a yo-yo club. But they have got players that can hurt us. I mean, Pukki's a player who has impressed me playing in the Premier League, because he's got energy, he gets on the ball, he makes things happen, he demands. He's a bit like Bamford in a way, probably different height difference, but he's a similar player. He puts everything into it and gets into positions, sets people up, and also scores goal himself. So I think people like him we've got to look out for. But they have got some other players as well, and I think he's a good manager as well. Dean Smith, he organises people, and I think it's a winnable game, but it's how we approach it. I don't want to think about Norwich too much. We have to take some stuff out of it, but it's about us and how we perform and how we can get back to doing what we did best. Going back some now, obviously thinking back to maybe the Aston Villa in the draw, probably our best performance for a while. So think of the positives and try and use them in this game.
And in terms of the game, getting 3 points on the board against Norwich, as cliches as it sounds, a win can change the whole atmosphere around a team, can't it?
Yeah.
It can really set them maybe starting for a push towards the end of the season.
You're absolutely right. We've got to start somewhere again. We know what's happened. We can't change that now. That's done. So we have to now think positive. Like you say, it's all about winning. Doesn't matter how we win today. I'm not bothered. Hits the back of your head and goes in, great. We need a little bit of luck as well. But we can't always want that. We can't always demand that. It doesn't happen like that. You've got to earn your luck. And I think if we put a shift in against Norwich and we do things well and we do the basics well, as I always talk about, and defend better, much better, and be tougher and more physical, and the fans will drag us through and we'll beat them. But it's all about that desire as a player, wanting to go that extra yard that you don't maybe usually do, but you should, especially in a game like this. This is vital that we get 3 points.
Dom, score prediction for today, please.
Yeah, well, listen, after what I've just said, I'm going to go for a 3-1. I fancy us to get something. I think the players now will understand where we're at, and the manager now, it's so important that he's got a couple of days to get it organised and set up a team that can get us 3 points.
We're absolutely delighted to be joined by Alan Sutton, one of Leeds United's longest serving physios. Nearly 4 decades you were here at the club. Alan, you've got the new book out, I want to talk about that, but beforehand, when you come back in here and you see the ground behind you, what are the memories that come flooding back to you straight away?
Where do I start? Obviously from the first time I came here, Billy Brennan was manager, and working with Billy. And I think really what I remembered mainly about here, and I think everybody will probably agree, especially when we're in Champions League. I remember Eddie Gray saying to me, the Champions League, them European nights, are just something else, absolutely something, and there was something else with that. But then again, before that, the Wilkinson decade, what I was involved with, and winning championship. I think one game in particular, I think, was Leicester. And everybody remembers the Leicester where we had to win before we went to Bournemouth. And the atmosphere that day, well, even a few years after, talking to Gary McAllister, and he was playing for Leicester that day, and he could have been at that trick. And even he said, he couldn't even make himself heard from anybody, like 5 yards away. The noise that day were unbelievable. It was just, that was something else. But the Leicester definitely, and then like I said, the Champions League night, you know, then they were absolutely special nights. I think for every Leeds United supporter.
The book, Alan Sutton, My Journey, Pavement to Premier League with Leeds United. I mean, you have seen it all. You've seen some players in your time as well. I know there's stories that haven't even made the book as well, because there was so much you could have put in there. But tell us one of those stories, maybe that hasn't made it, because people are going to buy the book and read plenty of stuff, but ones that haven't even made it in there.
Yeah, there was one story. Initially, I started to write this book mainly for my grandkids in Australia, Alex and Seb. And when I were on the plane flying to Australia, you know, 24 hours, I suddenly remembered one story I forgot to put in. And what it was, every Christmas, right, me and I think it was John Ray, dear old John, who rest in peace, we used to get together and they used to do like what they call a sooty teaser, and it was a quiz for the supporters, you know, of Leeds United, and I used to put it in. And anyway, I came across a little article about one of the players at that time, and I said to the player, I said, do you mind if I put this in a quiz question? He said, no problems at all. So on the day I forgot all about it. So all of a sudden, one of the players, you know, hey, what's this quiz question here about? And it was about what Leeds United player at that time had been a ballet dancer, right? Had actually done ballet lesson and become a ballet dancer, you see, right? So I said, well, okay, straight away, the old admin said, it's got to be Harry Kewell, right? It's got to be Harry Kewell. I said, well, it's anyway, I said, not safe, right? Next thing is, Robbie Fowler said, listen, Suts, I need to find out who that player was, because I'm telling you now, I am not going to play today unless I find out. I said, Robbie, the programme's out next home game, he'll give you all the answers from there. Well, he still went on one. And he told me, he said, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to get changed, I'm not going to get what they call it until I find out. Well, at that point, me and the player involved, we were like on the quiet doing high fives, because we absolutely loved it. You know, we wound him up that much. Next thing is, the chairman comes in, which happened to be Peter Risdale at that time, and he said, Mr. Chairman, I've told Alan Sutton, unless I find out who that ballet dancer was, who took ballet lesson before he was a player, I'm not going to play today. I'm not putting shirt on anything. So of course he can, come on, let him know we just shut him up, you know what I mean? So anyway, I will say to you, do you remember, have you any idea who the player was?
I don't know who it is.
Right? Anyway, let's put it this way. And I said it was a centre half at that time, right? And someone said to me, oh, it's got to be Jonathan Woodgate. I said no. And then I said, actually, we sold him to Man United.
Oh, well, you're narrowing it down now. I think most people will have worked it out without you having to actually say it.
Yeah.
I like the idea that your quiz almost caused a mutiny in the team. It's absolutely fantastic.
Listen, and honestly, and of course, at the end of the day, it was Rio Ferdinand. Well, me and Rio were just doing high fives. Honestly, we just loved it. That out with Robbie just got so wound up about it, like, you know what I mean?
It's great, and there's so much in the book as well. Alan Sutton, My Journey. Thank you so much for spending a bit of time with us. Lovely to have you back here as well. Always welcome at Elland Road, of course, and everything you did for the club. And the book is out now. Dom, thank you as always.
Cheers.
For joining us on the warm-up. It is a massive game in prospect, and hopefully a winning game for Leeds United as well. Enjoy the match. LUTV has your coverage. Bryn Law and Tony DeRigo will be your commentary team.